some deep breaths. As you deeply breathe, allow your imagination to intuit that you are breathing through your heart. Every inhale, drag that breath into the heart. Breathing deep breaths with your hands on the heart, imagining that the breath itself is coming through the heart chakra. Feeling the sweetness of breath, the sweetness of women being together, just this. Heavenly Father, Holy Mother, the Christ Consciousness, Lady Mary Magdalene, and Archangel Raphael, we ask that you usher in the emerald fire. Let each woman here feel themselves being surrounded and loved by immense guidance and love, immense healing. Let every single one of us open up to exactly what it is we specifically need, knowing that we are loved and doted on by the Goddess. She's the one that has called you here today. And she's the one that has already designed the healing and the wisdom that is going to flood into your heart, illumine your mind, and fulfill your destiny. Just this. Inhale deep. And exhale. Awesome. Go ahead and float your eyes open. So today we are going to do some interesting work. We're celebrating Mary Magdalene's birthday. Her birthday's tomorrow, the 31st. So she is a 4 in numerology. She is an Aquarius. Interesting that with, she's like you. Mary Magdalene has an Aquarius North Node. So she's more of a Capricorn-y kind of Aquarius. How do I know that? Because she's in the first decan. And the first 10 days, you tend to be more Saturn-y than Urany. So she's born like that, but then she has in her chart to become more Aquarius, to become more of humanitarian. And that's just her makeup. Interesting enough too, and I have it here, so if any of you know anything about astrology, and I'll send it in the comments to everyone on Zoom, then there's also Jesus Christ. Yeshua ben Joseph's chart, he is March 23rd, so he's a 5, first day of Aries. That's an interesting makeup, those two. I imagine he got on her nerves quite a bit. Speaking as an Aquarius that's married to an Aries. The thing about her, and I want to bring this, if you're wondering about a great book from Mary Magdalene, this is one of the best, I think. And what I love about this book is it has meditations and prayers, but it also goes over the one writings that we had from her called the Gnostic Gospel. And it's Mary Magdalene, so there's Thomas and Judas, and there's several that were found in Egypt in 1940s, around 1941, I think is when they first found it. But there are 3 copies of her gospel, and all 3 are missing the same first 4 pages and then a middle 7. So in this, they give kind of a narrative of the gospel, and then they channel in the missing pages. And it's so funny. I mean, this has been, I've been so into Mary Magdalene. Every time, though, it's like a workshop, more comes. Like, it's kind of like, oh, you thought you knew what you thought you knew, but you don't know what I'm about to show you, right? So funny, I'm reading the Gnostic scriptures probably about a month ago when we're about to start the priestess, modern priestess. And I think to myself, you should channel the missing pages. You should just ask Mary, what the fuck? What are on those pages? You need to tell me, right? And then I don't want to do it, so I start Googling. Has anybody else done it? So I do that, and I see this book, right, on Amazon, and I think, oh my God, that's so great. And I order it, and then I think I have that freaking book. I mean, I have like a whole shelf of Magdalene. So I'm like, go in there, and of course I already had it. And I don't think I'd ever read it. I don't think I've read this book of all the books, and I love it. I think I was more into the creative readings on hers, so I didn't like this one because it was pretty dry, and I just wasn't ready. But now I am. So one of the things, just for fun, for kicks, one of the people that I really love is Elizabeth Cunningham. And she is probably got to be in her 80s now. When I met her, it was probably 10 years ago about. And it was at a goddess temple in Escondido. This woman, her husband built her a temple, literally. And like, it's got all these goddess, beautiful paintings, and it's on top of a garage he built, and she's at Valley Center, and then it overlooks all this beautiful land. It's stunning. So one day I went out there, and they had this author, Elizabeth Cunningham. Elizabeth's dad was a Lutheran preacher. So she spent most of her life in a very dogmated interpretation, especially her age. The interpretation of Magdalene would have been very, prostitute, kind of a loser, but thank God Jesus saved her. I hate that rundown, but that's what we went with for quite a while. And I'm going to connect that to our inner and outer goal in just a moment. So Elizabeth, how she goes, I don't channel. She goes, but Mary Magdalene just came and sat down in my kitchen one day and said, and she goes, and the way she describes it is like Magdalene, she feels his presence, and she looks over her shoulder, and she says Magdalene's like in a chair at the dining room table, like kind of laying back, like, hey, what's up? And she's like, oh, And so she starts talking to her, and Magdalene tells her story. And the first book that she writes is called, right then, we had just gone through the Passion of the Christ. So she writes the Passion of Magdalene. And there is a lot of blurred lines. She does enough research so that Magdalene lands in the right places, but it's amazing. So she comes from this witches' coven in Ireland. This is this story. And somehow she ends up with the Druids. That's how she meets Jesus for the first time for her training. And then later on, she's in Rome. She does the prostitution thing just because it's a great way to make money. And she doesn't have too much guilt about it, except for when she meets Jesus again and thinks, oh, maybe I'd like to marry this guy. I don't know how you're going to feel about, the whole prostitution thing. But he was good with it. On a whole, it all worked out, but it's really beautiful and fun. And I'm kind of making really light of it when they get together. And just the whole process of her kind of saving him saving her, and what they come together to be is I just love her creative spin on it. So I want to put that out there. So I don't forget, one of the things that we're really going to be going after today are two things from the Magdalene. The nous, which is a secret room inside your heart that knows how to get your real mind to be more at neutral and more functioning in a very supportive, wise and loving way. That's number one. We want to get to that. The second one is we're going to get married today to the hottest, sexiest, wisest motherfucker in the universe. And that's your twin flame, and he always exists. Now, the one thing I want to say is I've heard a lot of times in our readings, well, I'm healing me, so I'm getting ready, I'm self-loving, and then I'll be ready for my man. You're ready now. To me, that is dogmatic thinking, like you are somehow not right in this moment. That's just, to me, just as much like, well, Magdalene's a prostitute, thank God, a man came along and healed her and made her realize she's okay. We are okay, more than okay, beautiful, and anything we want is ours to have if we truly want it now. And how do I know this? I was 26 years old when I met Tony. Obviously, my self-love was not like perfection. We all know how you are at 26, right? I was doing my best, but it was still a little sketchy. You know, I mean, poor guy, he still talks about when he would take me out to be like, I want a margarita and 2 shots on the side. All right. Hi, so how are you doing? And I was even coherent by the end of the day. That is a miracle. I was still standing at the end of the day, and it was like a 10-hour date, so. But that is something that we really want to heal today, is that there is nothing broken. And so for some of you that are bringing in, so there's several of you that are calling in the one. That's part of the outer goal right now. And all the work that we do, the finish is when he's in your life. Because then your insanity comes back, right? We can fix a lot right here. And then when he shows up, or when you're finally making the money you always dreamt of, or when your body's healed, whatever your glitch is right now, when it finally passes, what happens? Your karma rears its ugly head, and then you go, oh my God, I'm like still crazy. You know, just note what some of the things I noticed was like my abandonment issues, my insecurity, my desire to read his journals to make sure he's like doing the right thing, right? So I was still fucked up, right? But I was aware. So all the work that I felt like I did with my guides preparing, and that's what we're doing in the Modern Priestess, made me ready to, didn't matter who the guy was, get in a relationship and now finally do that different. Doesn't mean I'm not going to have the behaviors. I have to have them so that I can parent me. I'm the one that had to like, okay, when you get like that, you know. So I really wanted to put that out there. So back to marrying the hottest guy in the universe. Part of what was going on too when Tony came into my life is I was having this amazing love affair with God. And I've always had the hot Jesus. He's sort of a Kenny Loggins Jesus in my fantasy. And so I'm having this thing with Jesus. And it's wonderful, you know? And here's what, all joking aside, what it is a mate that gets, it really is, actually, I'm really a good-looking Jesus Kenny Loggins guy. My inner male, obviously, is that. You have an inner male or an inner lover. If your sexual orientation is for the feminine, then she's going to look like that. But you do have a twin flame, but it's within you. And the most important affair that we can have is with that. And so some of you, it's like, to give that energy, the lover, and if some of you are wanting a better job, so he's going to be the banker, he's going to be your sugar daddy, right? Mm-hmm. He's going to be the doctor. He is this twin of you that, of course, fulfills all your dreams because he knows everything about you, because he's you inside out, right? And so that is part of what we're going to play with today. So we are doing a lesson from The Gift of Womanhood from Guru Bhatana, my favorite book. I love this book. And we are healing the father wounds of abandonment and separation today. So even just our orientation to spirituality, having it be a male God, a male God, a male God, and if we have had the experience of praying to this male God and then not getting the shit we want, then we think he's a fucked up, mean male God, you know? So it's not good, but it's healable, and it's not true either. This is kind of like, you know, in the Modern Priestess when we go through those belief days, right? Sometimes on a cognizant level, I don't seem like I have that at all. But when I really do the self-inquiry, then ooh, there is a little bit of that in there. So we are going to heal that part of us because, and the reason we want this relationship with our own inner male is because it gives us stability. Our male inside of us gives the Shakti stability so she can swirl, so she can create, but she has this connection to the stable male polarity inside of us. And then we can enjoy it in the males that are outside of us, but we don't need it. Once we end the need for him, and the need for money, and the need for what is out here, and we realize that everything we've ever needed is always right here, and really cultivate that relationship. So when you think about this, if it's a marriage with you, if it's a friendship with you, how are you as a friend to you? You know, like one of the things I notice is I can be really like a slave driver to me, you know, and like, you just need to keep on going, you know. I don't really know what I'm doing. It's very subtle, but I'll catch myself in it. And then I back that down and say, oh no, that voice is fired, you know, and then bring up the energy that is more supportive. So let's do some Kundalini yoga and move through this. Then we'll go into the Tower of Light and do our marriage. And then we will, during actually our Kriyas, when we're going to navigate the Nus, the secret room of the heart, to come into neutrality. So neutral is a very Aquarius thing. And when you think of Magdalene, I've always got this impression of her, that she's a little colder than him. You know, he's very bhakti, and when I say he, Jesus, the Lord Christ is much more Aries, babyish, like, ooh, he wants to touch you and love you and heal you and yeah. And she's like, why are you so fucked up? She's more Yanni. She's more like, I want to teach you how to heal yourself, right? More on the intellect, but still a beautiful counterpart to that energy, right? And that's the kind of energy we want to ignite with our mind, especially this midpoint of our goddess journey, because some of you are starting to get little manifestations. And what happens a lot of time at this point is you'll judge it like, well, I got a job interview, but I didn't get the job, you know? Just the little nibbles of what you're trying to create, the nibbles are there, but then depending on how much darkness and doubt you have in you, that part of you, right, is just ready to go, see, it's not working. It's not working. See, I told you. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only person who has that. But when that happens, I'm ready for that voice, right? It's like, oh, no. I really got that interview. I did a hell of a job, and I know there's going to be another one coming. So you, shuddy. All right, let's tune in. In the most loving way, shuddy.